Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie and I'm here with my husband Jim, and it is Sunday evening and we are getting ready to talk about artificial intelligence. So the first thing that we wanted to do tonight is we wanted to talk a little bit about some things that are happening in medical news. Now, we always like to talk about the medical news because we think that that's a place that AI can definitely benefit the world, the things that it's doing in medicine.
Okay, to throw my sarcasm in there, because I think, especially with rural areas like we're in, that unless you're rich, medical coverage sucks. I mean, it's just not very good. I mean, we have had the benefit of a local doctor who got tired of the working for these big hospital chain, and so he started his own practice. Concierge doctor is what they called him. And so we have benefit that a lot of people don't.
Until we get ready to go for a test or for a scan.
Yeah, but he does a good job of helping us get those scans at a good price, too.
He does.
But the fact that we have to go through this, it reinforces my point. So anyway, a friend of mine died 10 years ago this year from cancer. So I pay a lot of attention to cancer stuff. But one of the things about it was the treatment itself that bothered me. When I walked in the room to see him and he was in hospice and he was, at the end of his life, I didn't even recognize him.
Correct.
And I was told that some of the treatments they gave him basically were too much for his body. It burned him out. So anyway, right. I know that's depressing.
Over treatment. It's like it's an over treatment of something sometimes. Now that doesn't always happen, but it does.
Everybody's body's different, though. That's the problem.
Yes.
How do you know what's over for one may not be over for the other?
Right.
Maybe based on weight or age or whatever.
The type of the cancer, the size of the tumor.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many different things that go into the decisions that doctors are trying to make. And what this AI news is about is that Harvard Medical School has a new artificial intelligence tool for cancer, and it's called Chief. And basically they're saying that based on analyzing tumor images and all of the information that it can put into this AI, it can predict cancer survival and guide treatment decisions. And it has like 36%
increase in accuracy.
It's outperforming all of the other types of tools that are out there.
Yes.
Because it has AI that's doing the analytics on the back.
It's helping.
Helping.
It doesn't take the doctor out of the loop, but it does help.
Yes.
With this. So
yes, the model uses the features of the tumor's microenvironment to forecast how a patient might respond to therapy and to help inform individualized treatments, because not all treatments need to be the same. So I think this is awesome. I think it's amazing, and it's a huge benefit from like the standard treatments that people go through whenever they find out they have cancer.
Yes, because it's very scary. And unfortunately, we know too many people these days that have cancer. So anyway, moving on, I thought you might enjoy some AI big news. And again, I'm going to throw my sarcasm in there a little bit. But
Jim, being sarcastic.
Shocking, isn't it? Anthropic, which does Claude, had a big announcement. Well, if you have a big announcement, if you go to the Microsoft School of Marketing, if your competitor has an announcement, you must also have an announcement, even if it's vaporware. Correct. Microsoft was famous for that. They got sued for that because they would announce an upgrade to a product just because somebody else announced something that they hadn't even started on.
Well,
yet.
They have to be at the top of the news cycle.
Always. Got to be. It's like having an A in front of your name in the old phone books.
Yeah, AAA.
You wanted your name to start with an A so you could be the... That's old.
And then you have A, and then you have AA to get you in front of the top of the first A.
People don't even know what phone books are anymore.
That's true. That's true. So AI big news. Anthropic had the big announcement. So what happened? What were the announcements that Anthropic did that were interesting to you?
Well, they had two. The first one was the ability to run code for doing visualization. When you've got all this text on the screen, it doesn't give you a good idea of what's going on. So typically what you do is you take that text that you've got that it generated or whatever, you paste it into something else in order to see it. Even if it generates like HTML code or whatever, I do this all the time. This allows you to see some of the stuff that it's doing right there.
Right. A lot of times I'll ask, put this in an outline form or put this in a table form or put this in, and that way it's just easier to find the information.
Well, now you can tell it, make it a web page, which is what JavaScript would do, and then it will actually load it for you.
That's cool.
So I thought it was cool. The second announcement, which actually in some ways got more attention than the first, they upgraded their models, which I've already started using some of their new models. It's hard when these models are as big as these are to really see the difference between it's always about whether I can generate better code or whatever. It's in some cases it feels like it's kind of splitting hairs. It's better, but how much? It's the computer use model that's making all the news, because this just like I've made predictions over the last couple of 2.5 years.
Hang on, we're going to get a Jim prediction.
There's a big push. There's already this big push into agents, where these agents can do things for you.
I've been hearing about.
Well, now they talk about computer control. Now, Microsoft kind of had that with their replay feature, which allowed them to replay everything was on your screen.
Isn't that a little scary?
The idea of computers being controlled by an AI that's external to your computer is frightening to me. I don't know about everybody else. It was cool, though. I mean, you could tell it to fill out a form for you or open something. There's a reason why the tool we're developing for the school that has that capability is local.
Right. I don't think I want Microsoft to be able to notice and see and record and replay everything I'm doing on my
click
computer.
On things on your screen.
It's almost like the old-fashioned virus where they're key logging and stuff. It's know everything I'm doing.
Old-fashioned viruses are minor compared to what this.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is a cool feature. They announced it, and about the same time, somebody claimed that Google was working on one called Project Jarvis. Microsoft already had theirs. My prediction is you're going to see more of this, because if you think about it, it's the paradigm we're trying to create at school. If you think about it,
seamless
the teachers being able to interact with it seamlessly using voice requires the ability to control it.
Right.
The question is, are you comfortable with that control mechanism being in a cloud somewhere?
Correct. Which is why we're doing it local. If I walk into a classroom and I say, I need to pull up this tab, or I need to search this, or anything like that, then it's local.
We're doing the text-to-speech transcription. I thought you would find that interesting.
I do. Very interesting. So what was the counter thing that Microsoft did that we're
Microsoft didn't do it. They learned from Microsoft.
But AI did it.
Though technically your statement's probably accurate, because Microsoft owns they own a bunch of OpenAI, so they kind of already there anyway. But anyway, the announcement is that the new model for GPT-4 is going to be 100 times more powerful than GPT-4. Are they going to call it GPT-5? All this speculation. It's going to be 100 times. It's going to come out in November, which is exactly 2 years from when they first announced for most people to get access to the first, large language model, or ChatGPT. So shortly afterward, Sam Altman, CEO, said it's fake news.
Why would he do that?
Because he likes attention. And he went to the Microsoft school. So what does he do shortly afterward? What did he post on X?
He says, I love being home in the Midwest. The night sky is so beautiful. Excited for the winter constellations to rise soon. They are so great.
So if you're a nerd like me, you took that post and you put it in ChatGPT. And first you said, is there anything hidden in this? And it went, not that I see. But then I said, what are the prominent constellations in the Midwest? Because he's from Chicago. And guess what number one prominent constellation is in Chicago?
The name that they're going to call the model. Orion.
So he's playing games, but he technically didn't announce vaporware because he learned maybe from Microsoft getting sued. He said, no, this is fake. And then he posts this cryptic thing, which makes everybody start paying attention to OpenAI again. It was clever. I mean, I have to admit, it was kind of cool, but I don't know. These games people play, it's a game. And it gets old. But anyway.
So there's a couple more announcements that have been happening.
Yes. Most people don't know what a Raspberry Pi is. It's an interesting tool.
I know what a Raspberry Pi is.
But you're a nerd. It's a Raspberry Pi. It's basically a little old. It's like, imagine 2 generations back of cell phones. They take that, they go to the manufacturers, the people, it was a UK group that was a nonprofit. They went to this phone manufacturers and they said, hey, we want to take your little phone boards, because it's basically a computer, and we want to package it and resell it as a hacker board for hackers to use. Wildly popular. They've sold millions, like 40 million of them have been sold.
I say that our display control,
our digital displays at all of our campuses,
are ran by a
Raspberry Pi. I bought Raspberry Pis. I loaded the code on there. I put our digital signage is Raspberry Pis.
When I was in Makerspace,
I had Raspberry Pis, Pico boards, and hacker boards. This is one of those. Anyway, they've got some really cool AI stuff that they've added to it. Most of it's edge-based stuff, but it's really going to be fun for hackers. That's why I put it in there.
Okay, and then what about Perplexity?
Perplexity, of course, most of the news around them is them getting sued by everybody.
Yes.
But anyway, they launched a native Mac app which is cool. A native app instead of it being, a browser-based thing. ChatGPT did that a while ago, and their Mac app is actually pretty good. It usually has features in it that others don't. But what's interesting about all of this was Perplexity. I looked it up to see if Google was an investor because a little backstory. Back in the 90s, which you may remember, Apple was about to go under, literally about to go under.
Yes.
They got a cash infusion from their biggest competitor, Microsoft, $150 million, which saved the company, which also probably why Microsoft is so incredibly rich, because I'm sure they got some equity in the company for doing that. Microsoft saved Apple because the time the DOJ was suing them for being a monopoly. And if you're getting sued for being a monopoly and your only competitor goes under, that's not going to go well for you. Now, it didn't go well. They had to do some stuff anyway, but the fact that Apple was about to go under is why they saved them. Well, fast forward to now, the DOJ is going after Google. Google has no real competitors. You could call Microsoft Bing one, but the news everywhere you look, Perplexity is a competitor. Now, why is it when you talk about Google, I don't hardly ever see the Microsoft as their real competitor? Top search in Google tends to be Perplexity, which is kind of a joke. Perplexity is worth $1 billion. Google spends that on executive retreats. I mean, $1 billion to Google is nothing. So why is it they're a competitor of Google? Perplexity is.
Sounds like they're trying to make the optics.
They're trying to change the optics to where Perplexity looks bigger than they are.
Yes.
Perplexity, I use Perplexity. It's very handy. But I don't.
I am finding myself using it a little more often whenever I'm looking at stuff that's like on the web and things like that.
Yeah, they're not a competitor of Google.
No,
not really.
No, they're not. So let's talk about what I like talking about, even though I do appreciate all of the announcements.
Hey, got to have some headlines.
And, the Sunday evening is your time to kind of
right. I threw in some stuff for you. Education is your thing. Stuff.
But let's talk about education.
Yes.
Education and AI.
It is what we both work in, so we might as well talk about it.
Big news, of course, unfortunately, and, my heart goes out to the mother of this 14-year-old child that committed suicide.
In Florida.
It was in Florida.
We've talked about character AI quite a bit.
Yes, we have. Character AI doesn't have a lot of guardrails that I know of. We both don't get onto character AI.
We did when it first came out. It was interesting. I even made an Einstein and a couple of other little characters within it. But wildly popular, though, with kids.
It really did. And I've gotten onto it again to just kind of I was looking at it to say, oh, well, this is kind of cool from a counselor standpoint. I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat if you had a character AI that was literally trained on how to help with, bereavement over the passing of an animal or, the little things like that. But when I got onto it to look at it, I noticed very quickly that a lot of the characters that were popping up and that were on the little screens and the little thumbnails that you could click on were not appropriate.
No, they usually were
not appropriate. And so
scantily dressed anime type characters.
Like anime type, very scantily dressed. And I'm like, okay, this is not good for kids. Kids should not be on this. And so I got off of it, and I never even really created an account or anything like that.
I've had an account on it since it started, but I think I've used it 2 or 3 times.
Right.
It's just not that interesting to me.
Well, the mother is suing Character AI because she says that it's their fault that he committed suicide. And
anthropomorphic, hypersexualized, and frighteningly realistic experiences were all in the lawsuit. She said the company programmed it to misrepresent itself as a real person, a licensed psychologist, an adult lover, ultimately resulting in Sewell's desire to no longer live outside of the world created by the service. So her son committed suicide at the age of 14.
At the age of 14.
She's not going to win this.
Unfortunately, I don't think she's going to win it. If Character AI, maybe they will settle. It will never bring her son back.
They're not going to win it.
I see a lot of things in the world to where, like, a long time ago when we were living in Florida, and we had the John Walsh, who did all of the stuff that he did
because his son got
kidnapped and murdered. He took what he did and he made action out of it. He took what happened to his son and he made his son's death
most wanted
have a purpose.
He caught a lot of criminals.
That man has caught a lot of criminals. I see, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I see all of these different things to where,
something should have been addressed
comes out of the ashes.
Yes.
And in this situation, again, I am sitting here going, thank you, AI, because
we should have been talking about this already. Conversations about what kids do,
conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do, conversations about what kids do on social media and what kids are exposed to on social media should have been happening 15
That's why I said
years
she's
ago.
probably going to lose this case, though, because every time the social media companies they're going to be backing character AI to keep this. They don't want them to win this.
Right.
Because they've been trying to keep from setting a legal precedent that holds them responsible for all of the access. I hate to admit it, but China was one of the places I saw that actually did the better job of it, because China said no kid under, it was like 14 or 16 or whatever, could be on certain social media. They couldn't be on more than a couple hours a week or whatever. And they told the companies, if you allow it and you don't do a good job of making sure when we catch you, we are going to shut you down. We're not going to give you some little fine. We're going to shut your company down. Now, I know we don't have that power here in the United States necessarily, but when you see what some of these kids are able to access, I mean, we do our best to block this stuff. It's like whack-a-mole at school trying to keep the kids off of it. But the social media stuff, the parents, it's really hard. So anyway, I don't want to go and spend too much time on this one because it is kind of
But it's a real thing.
But it's real and it needs to be dealt with.
Conversations that need to be had, and it's things that need to be put into place in the United States of America.
And what does it lead us needing to? What do we need more of?
Education.
This is my next headline I put in there just for you.
Yes. Most teens believe conspiracy theories.
Where was this?
And I'm not talking about conspiracy theories.
This was an Educational Week magazine.
Okay. edweek.org. They came out with an article. They always do surveys. They do a great job surveying people. And I'm not talking about conspiracy theories that you see in like political news and things like that, even though a lot of teenagers believe that too. I'm talking about, the world is flat, or aliens exist, or the NFL playoffs last season, it was rigged to help Taylor Swift's boyfriend. And
ultimately, it was going to help Joe Biden because they were going to announce during the Super Bowl. I remember that COVID-19 vaccines are automatically dangerous. There's so many. The thing is, we could literally make a list 100 long of conspiracies, which some people would say it's not a conspiracy if it's real, but the world isn't flat. We're pretty certain of that. But the fact that there's kids out there that may believe that because they keep seeing it on these different sites, that means we need to do a better job of education. Digital literacy, which you talk about all the time. Every time we do a presentation, a training, a professional development, any of them, you talk about that.
Right. And it's been going on for a long time. If you are a librarian, you know that whenever you are, sources, how to vet the sources. One of the things that we said whenever I was teaching junior high, of course, it caught the attention. It's like, before you do something, make sure that what you're citing is not crap. CRAP, and the C was for credible, and the R was from a valid resource.
Okay, that's probably not a good acronym.
Yeah, hey,
got their attention.
You do what you got to do.
But remember, what's funny about it all is that when Rachel was in elementary school, Dina Wilson, her librarian. Now, was Dina the librarian when Rachel was there? Or Dina was still a third grade teacher when Rachel was there?
No, Dina
I don't remember who the librarian was. The librarian told Rachel that you don't use Wikipedia as a source because there's no vetting.
Right. Anyone could put
You know what?
anything
One of
on
the
it.
sources that a lot of AI companies use for training?
Wikipedia.
So that's why they keep picking up the Onion and stuff too on some of these questions that get answered by. Anyway.
What kills me the most about what teenagers believe and what people believe, period, on social media is that no one gets past the first 4 sentences.
Yeah, it's the little...
Because a lot of times, if you'll get past the first 4 sentences, it's crap.
I know.
Okay? Even to the point of at the bottom of the post, sometimes, it'll say, it happened to Rachel the other day, some of her friends on Facebook or, her old friends or whatever, were reposting something that they had seen on Facebook. And they were reposting it and going off about it and making all these comments about it. Oh my God, this is horrible and yada, yada, yada. And Rachel was like, what? And she clicked on, and it says it's from a satire.
That stuff's not. I hate the way. Maybe by the strictest definition, that is satire.
Yeah. No,
satire to me is supposed to be amusing. It's usually political. This stuff is not funny.
Everything you see is not real that you're put on our website.
If you make a website that's complete lies, that's not satire. That's just lies.
That's just trying to get attention.
Anyway, so I thought this next one, because these all kind of blend together. We have the problems with the kids. The poor kid, he committed suicide. Now we have teens that need more digital literacy. Now let's go to the college level where we're teaching the teachers about AI. And what are the headlines? This one came out of, hold on, this one was
The 74million.org.
Never really heard of that one, but
yeah.
It was an
so it's a survey, and they said that basically the teachers that are getting trained in our colleges right now to become teachers are not getting trained on how to use AI or what AI is. Or
is this your Arizona State thing you've been working on?
No, there was a study from Arizona State.
Isn't that what
that
yours
actually
is?
tapped?
You're one of the. Was yours Arizona State?
No, you and I are part of a case study, but it's a year long. None of the results of what we're doing with Arizona State will be released for at least 1 year. And our study is about AI early adopters because, believe it or not, we're considered an early adopter of AI.
We may be fighting to get it in there the way we want to, but we've been doing this for
a long time.
It's been a year and a half, almost 2 years.
We are in a study through Arizona State where we're getting asked and put on calls and stuff like that, which is awesome. And I hope that we can give them some insights about what it was like and what it is like being an AI early adopter.
Anyway, this is a different story.
This is 500 U.S. education schools, and it's related to basically say that most teachers, colleges, faculty are neither ready nor able to embrace AI.
So
now,
the teachers at the colleges aren't.
Word there, I'm a little bit concerned about because I can teach something and not embrace what I'm teaching.
You're not going to teach it very well.
But part of being an educator is being able to teach a student how to think for themselves and accepting the fact that maybe they're not going to think the way that you think. So part of being a great educator is being able to do both sides of the coin. Yes, maybe I don't have to embrace AI, but I should know about AI. I should be able to teach it.
Well, if you want to get to level 3 in our thing we're doing, our professional development, you got to embrace it.
True, but I think a teacher who's at level 2 can still teach it.
Yeah, you and I don't agree on that completely. So anyway, moving on.
Programs that integrate AI use it mostly to help teachers prevent plagiarism.
We see that a lot.
And it doesn't prevent plagiarism.
It doesn't even get close.
It drives me crazy. Address the why the kid is cheating, not the how the kid is cheating.
By the way, if you embrace AI, it gets really easy to spot the plagiarism because the kids aren't typically very good. If you use AI enough, I can almost tell you within a minute or less of reading something that it was generated by AI.
But you know what I'm finding is that a lot of times when I write something now, because I have been utilizing AI to help me with outlines and sentence structure and hey, how does this sound and give me some ideas, I'm starting to sound more like the AI.
Ooh, who's assimilating who?
I don't know. So anyway, a few teacher training programs show promise in integrating AI into teacher prep. So there are some out there. Teacher colleges need systemic, strategic investments in AI education.
And I add the little comment I'm going to add into that is if they want to stay relevant, in my opinion, they're going to have to.
They're going to have to.
I don't see how they can not. As much as I read every day, the AI bubble is going to pop. There's some new study that AI doesn't do this or doesn't do that. Companies are putting too much money and time. The improvements in people don't realize that the term AI has been around a long time. Machine learning has been around a long time. The large language models, which is what everybody's talking about when they talk about ChatGPT, has been around for almost exactly 2 years. I first got access to it just a little over 2 years ago, and I was really early. Most people didn't even know about it. So in that amount of time, it's gone from something that worked kind of cool to something that's 10 times better.
And it's everywhere.
And it's so much better in that short amount of time. Even things that I do a lot, like writing code, or you're talking about, building outlines or helping you with some kind of thought process. The improvement has been dramatic. 18, 19 months, 2 years, whatever. I don't see that slowing down.
No, people are already getting too accustomed to having it.
Everybody that I know of that's really busy is using it. And we're going to run out of time, and I wanted to give you some time to talk about
Let me segue right there. I said people are getting a little more accustomed to using it. One of the things that we're noticing with our AI pilot program,
The
AI Trailblazers,
which we just added another person, or I did.
I would say you added. I am very happy that she has joined, but you kind of like went, hey, Maurie, guess what? Somebody else is going to join. So I started out with 3 teachers, love them to death. They are amazing teachers. They, at first, you're just like, it's so funny. You're kind of like a dad who's watching over his kids. You would say, Maurie, they haven't been on very often, or Maurie, they're only doing 30 minutes, or Maurie, I see they haven't been on in 24 hours. And
well, I want it to be successful.
Well, and I would go back. Well, I go back and I tell them, I'm like, okay, guys, Jim's a little nervous. Y'all aren't using this as often as he'd like for you.
Well, and my role is, what do I need to do differently to get you to use it?
What was so funny is that they were using their personal one a lot of times, or something like that, or their free version, or whatever.
Mostly had they paid for personal.
And they didn't know what they could use it for. They were being very careful. I'm like, no, as long as you're not putting student information in there, names and serial numbers and stuff like that. That
applies to any AI you're using, whether it's the schools or not.
So it's upticked some on how often they're using it. They're starting to ask questions about different ways to use it. I was over there the other day, and one of them was like, hey, I'd like to do something with, I think she's doing like a poetry, and she wanted to put something in there about Halloween or trick or treat. And she wants the kids to write a poem, and she was trying to come up with something fun for them to do. And so we were using AI to come up with some ideas, and it did come up with some great ideas. And that's what I like about it, is like, it'll list 10 ideas and the teacher will immediately say, oh, I like that one. And then they'll just go back to that one idea, and then they like flush that one out as to how they want to implement it in the classroom.
Unfortunately for you, I added another math teacher, though. Math is one of the things that's the hardest, though. Math, you can do some math. AIs don't, especially if you're talking about displaying, like you can generate great images and stuff if you're creating a poem or a book or whatever. It doesn't do such a great job at generating. It's getting better, like you mentioned a minute ago with Claude, getting better at doing the graphs and stuff. That's why I want to add the playground piece that you and I have been talking about to the tool that we provide.
Yes. So
because I want them to be able to create, use code and create things that they can use in their class, either interactive or not. I got a whole lot of plans for that. But
we will get there. And the math teacher is a high school math teacher.
That's different.
So that's a little bit different too.
She's going to be a little harder to judge because the test scores are, their test scores are really good on that campus already, and she tends to teach advanced levels, which tend to have better anyway.
That's
fun. I'd love to see where she can go with it, but to get her from, noticeable change, because mainly what we want to measure is test scores, teacher efficiency in the classroom, and all those things you're really trying to help with.
That's what you want to measure. What I want to measure is how happy my teachers are.
That's true.
Because
I need to see
a happy teacher is a good teacher, and a good teacher has good scores.
Good administrators are happy when scores go up,
but still,
and teachers being overloaded, even good teachers, if they're overloaded.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want them to be not
again, as we've said before, what engages the students is changing. We talk about this all the time, because if you can't engage them, then interest is important, and the test scores will follow interest. And I agree, it's all connected. Excited teacher.
Excited teacher, excited lesson.
Gets the kids excited, all that other stuff.
Right.
And it's all got to be addressed. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, and a teacher who is not so tired and not so stressed burned out can then be the teacher that makes the connection. And the connection is what gets the kid in the classroom to begin with.
I agree.
And so then you have an opportunity to educate the kid.
So you would say our Trailblazer program's going well?
I would say it started out a little slow, but I think it's starting to pick up some steam. We're learning a lot.
We're taking the tools and we're refining them.
Yes. And I think this first year is going to be really a slow go, a slow roll. But I think that coming into it next year, I think that we'll still.
Yeah, because our first rollout really wasn't focused on teachers. It was an onboarding tool.
Right.
To help teachers find access to resources. This is much more ingrained in the classroom than the others were. So now it is a little bit different.
Got to go out and
We're going to be talking about this.
We have some things coming up.
System Admin Conference.
So this is what my schedule looks like. I'm going to the AI Now conference on Tuesday that SHI International is doing. SH International is doing in Austin. So I get to listen to like an executive briefing about AI. And then the next thing we have is the SysAdmin
TCEA System Administrator
Conference.
Which we were at last year too.
Yes,
right?
we were there last year. We're doing
Austin.
a couple of presentations on artificial intelligence to more technical people. And then we're doing a big talk at the University of Texas in December.
Yeah, that one, I don't know what that one was. Some kind of, it's a
computer science. No, it's a computer science.
Oh, they're
thing.
making computer science curriculum or something.
Yeah. So don't worry about it, baby. I'll fill you in.
I'll just be there.
You just be there.
I'll just be there.
You're the engineer. I'm the educator.
I get it.
You can
anyway, we're running out of time. Moving right along.
I got to say, you can just stand there and look smart. Instead of looking pretty, you can just stand there and look smart. We have the science conference coming up in November also. The CAST thing.
Yeah, we're getting interviewed again, I think. We were on TV last time.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And then
I like the CAST.
We're doing the February TCEA conference.
And we decided not to go to Jersey, the New York, the award ceremony.
I'm not going to go to New York because we're actually going to be going to Disney World. Nothing to do with AI, but we're still going to go to Disney World.
We're going to Epcot.
Maybe I can find someone to talk to in Florida about AI.
It's like we did when we went to California.
And we could get a little bit of a tax write-off.
There we go. Or at least get invited back.
Maybe. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to AI in action. I'm sorry that we kind of rambled a little bit, but hey, it's when I let Jim talk about AI
it's all about
get a little bit excited there. So we hope that you have a marvelous rest of the week.